So, in the recent events with the Strait of Hormuz and the newly announced blockade by President Donald Duck Trump, it's important to look at a another facet of the conflict, and this is the war done by Israel over Lebanon. So, as April 14th, Lebanon is in the midst of a full-scale war, following a dramatic escalation that began early March 2026, after the initial attacks from Israel and US over Iran. This conflict is basically a resumption of major hostilities between Israel and the militant group Hezbollah, triggered by a regional spike in violence that included the assassination of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So, Hezbollah wanted to avenge the assassination of the Ayatollah, and that led to a new round of fighting across Lebanon's southern border with Israel. The current conflict overview. So, in terms of military operations, what we see, the Israel Defense Forces has launched a significant ground invasion of southern Lebanon. They've deployed multiple divisions. They're trying to seize territory south of the Litani River, and there is intense urban combat, especially in the city of Bint Jbeil, which is a strategic Hezbollah stronghold that the Israeli forces are trying to encircle. Um, Israel also conducted thousands of airstrikes targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in the southern suburbs of Beirut and the Bekaa Valley and other border towns. Um, if you look at the media today, there seems to be some detonations for some peace talks. So at the moment, there is not a ceasefire. So there have been also a correlation between the ceasefire with Iran to also include the ceasefire with Lebanon, which is not yet the case. Um, it's also to be said that the attacks from Israel in Lebanon have a huge toll on civilians. They are very deadly, let's say. For example, on April 8th, a massive wave of strikes killed over 300 people, mostly civilians. So there is a huge international backlash against Israel and their Prime Minister Netanyahu to close down this war and stop what is called to be war crimes. And let's not forget that Netanyahu faces criminal charges also in Israel, and he's trying to um, chicken out to run from his hearings to delay them as much as possible. But he's also a internationally convicted criminal. So the International Penal Court in Hague has issued a arrest warrant on his name. So he's banned from traveling almost anywhere in the civilized world, let's say. And it's not the only one. Some of his henchmen, some of his government officials are also been found guilty from war crimes and have warrants for their arrest. Going back to the situation in Lebanon, the Hezbollah response has been defiant, and they have maintained intensity rocket and drone attacks on northern Israel. They fired up thousands of projectiles, tried to target military positions in the occupied border areas. Uh, but the main problem is obviously not the military, because they know what they got into. They know that risk is part of their job. Um, However, the humanitarian impact is huge, and this war has created one of the fastest growing displacement crises in the world. The casualties, according to some Al Jazeera sources, since the beginning of March, more than 2,000 people have been killed in Lebanon, including at least 250 women and hundreds of children. So, if that's not a war crime, I don't know what is. Then the displacement, more than 1 million people, about 20% of Lebanon's population, have fled their homes. They are now refugees and living in crowded public schools or improvised camps in or around central Beirut. Um, this is basically huge and affects the whole area in southern Lebanon. Because if we take a look at Lebanon, uh, yeah, the country is not that large, so huge impact on the southern border can create humanitarian crisis very easily. The diplomatic and political landscape didn't change too much. There were some Washington talks about mid-April, direct high-level talks scheduled to begin in Washington, D.C. between ambassadors of Israel and Lebanon, and they'll be brokered by United States. Uh, I'm not sure how uh, objective and equal will be this brokerage, considering the support of the United States for the regime in Israel. But it's a start, at least for the talks. And it's also worth to note that this marks the first such bilateral engagement in over 30 years. The objective for Lebanon is, of course, to seek an immediate ceasefire, while Israel is demanding complete disarmament of Hezbollah and creation of demilitarized zones south of Litani River. And maybe they want some land to illegally annex, as they usually do. It seems they don't have a lot of land for themselves and keep pushing into Palestinian land with colonies, into Syrian land, trying to grab greedily as much land as they can. So it's no wonder that if they want such thing in Lebanon as well. And then there's obviously the internal friction, as the Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem has rejected these negotiations and called them pointless, urging the Lebanese government to withdraw. Uh, of course, they see no purpose in dealing with Israel, and they have no trust in Israel, and especially in the Prime Minister Netanyahu. It's also worth noting the historical precedent. So the conflict is just the latest in a series of Israeli invasions of Lebanon, which include the 1978, 1982 invasions. They were aimed at removing Palestinian forces from southern Lebanon. Then the 2006 Lebanon War, again a similar conflict to the one that we have today that left thousands dead and displaced nearly a million people. And then another short invasion in 2024 that was following the October 7th attacks. So the situation there is pretty dire, and the answer to that is obviously not easy. If we go back to the Washington talks, starting today, April 14th, um, they will be focused against ceasefire and peace talks, which, as I've said, is Lebanon's primary goal to stop the attack on their sovereign nation. And obviously, the big question is what will happen with Hezbollah, with Israel, demanding the total disarmament of them, whatever this means and how it can be achieved, because it's pretty difficult for the Lebanese government um, to do that, to be honest. Then the buffer zone, which is a huge violation of the sovereignty of Lebanon. So there should be no Israeli troops in Lebanon over the border, and actually they should withdraw to their own borders, the internationally recognized borders. And maybe there's some time for sanctions. I mean, if the international community does that on Russia for not respecting international borders, they should probably do the same to all countries not respecting international borders. So we'll see how these talks, peace talks go, and we'll be back with an update. Thank you.